Every incident writes a unique narrative. Every investigation seeks objective facts. Securing your legal rights, uncovering real justice.
Ma'am, that thing isn't allowed on board. You can't just bring whatever you want. Let's not hold up the line.
It's an FAA-approved medical oxygen concentrator. The airline was notified when I booked, and it's logged in your system.
Sure it is. Look, people like you try to pull this all the time. You can check it or step aside, okay?
It started as a routine flight from Atlanta to Dallas, but in the blink of an eye, retired Air Force Colonel Rachel Hayes found herself at the center of a storm she never asked for. A simple medical device became the spark. A young airline attendant's prejudice the fuel. What happened next would cost more than just a flight. It would change lives. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you are watching from, and make sure to subscribe because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. Rachel Hayes, 68, had spent over 4 decades in the military, rising through the ranks with a reputation for discipline, calm under pressure, and unshakable integrity. Even in retirement, she carried herself like a soldier, upright posture, precise movements, and a quiet confidence that came from years of navigating high-stakes situations. Today, she was simply trying to catch a flight back home to Dallas after a weekend conference on veteran healthcare. In her hand, she carried a small, discreet medical device, an oxygen concentrator she relied on due to a recent bout with pneumonia. It was compact, approved for flights, and unobtrusive. To anyone else, it was nothing. But to Marissa Collins, the 24-year-old flight attendant assigned to Rachel's gate, it was apparently a reason to escalate and humiliate. Marissa was known among her colleagues for being by the book, fiercely protective of airline policy, but she also had a sharp tongue and a habit of letting personal biases seep through. Some coworkers whispered that she had clashed before with passengers she deemed difficult or out of place. Today, that streak of hostility would be on full display. As Rachel approached the gate, calmly rolling her small suitcase, Marissa's eyes narrowed. She waved her over, clipboard in hand, her voice tight. "Ma'am, what is that thing you're carrying?" Marissa asked, her tone clipped, almost accusatory. Rachel held up her device politely. "It's a medical oxygen concentrator. I have documentation from my doctor." Marissa cut her off sharply. "You can't just bring that on the plane. Do you even realize how dangerous it is? People like you think rules don't apply." Her words stung, but it was more than the rules. It was the sneer, the assumption, the way she looked at Rachel like she didn't belong here. Rachel's lips pressed together. She had faced authority in high-pressure situations, and she knew when to stay calm. "It's approved for air travel. Here's the certification," she said, holding out the paperwork. Marissa waved it away. "I don't care what your little papers say. I decide what's safe on this flight. And you're a risk. Maybe you shouldn't even fly." Passengers nearby began to glance over. A man with a briefcase muttered under his breath, and a mother ushered her child a little closer. Rachel's eyes flicked around, noting the stares, the tension mounting like static in the air. No, she tried again, her voice firm but polite. "I assure you I am perfectly safe. I've flown with this device before." Marissa leaned in, smirking now, her words dripping with contempt. "Safe? Don't make me laugh. I've seen your type before. You think just because you've had some fancy title, the rules don't apply. I cannot have you on my flight like this. You're done." Rachel felt a flush of anger, but more than that, a deep, cold sense of injustice. Here she was, a retired colonel who had spent decades serving her country, being treated like a criminal because of a medical necessity, and, she realized, because of the color of her skin. "Excuse me," she said, trying to maintain composure. "Are you removing me because of my medical device, or—" "Both," Marissa snapped, cutting her off again. "You don't belong here. Not with that contraption. Not with that attitude. Step aside, ma'am, or I'll have security escort you." Rachel's heart pounded, not from fear, but from disbelief. Security was summoned quickly, the cold efficiency of uniformed officers contrasting sharply with the personal, venomous tirade from Marissa. Other passengers whispered, some with disapproval, some in disbelief. As the officers approached, Rachel realized the surreal reality. A lifetime of service, medals, and respect meant nothing in this moment. A young woman's prejudice, unchecked and emboldened by authority, was about to humiliate her in front of dozens of strangers. The tension was palpable. Every step toward removal from the gate felt like a slow-motion march through injustice. Small details, her oxygen concentrator humming softly, Marissa's smirk, the security guard's silent compliance, built the scene into a cinematic clash of dignity versus discrimination. If you believe that standing up for what's right can change everything, share this story and let others know that justice can prevail. By the time Rachel Hayes was guided toward the plane's exit, the hum of passengers' chatter had shifted to a low murmur of shock and curiosity. Cameras, phones discreetly raised, captured every tense moment. The line between routine protocol and public spectacle had already blurred. Inside the cabin, the atmosphere tightened like a hell breath. Flight attendants moved past with practiced efficiency, but Marissa Collins lingered near the gate, her expression a mixture of smug satisfaction and irritation. She had called security, had forced a decorated colonel to be removed, but the look in her eyes told a different story. This wasn't about safety, it was about asserting control, about proving that she could bend authority in her favor. Rachel, oxygen concentrator humming softly at her side, stood stiffly as a security officer gestured toward the terminal exit. Her military training kicked in, not in aggression, but in strategic calm. She refused to let humiliation dictate her actions. "I am not causing a scene," she said, voice firm, controlled. "I simply request you allow me to board with my approved device. This is my right as a passenger." The officer's jaw tightened. "Ma'am, the attendant is refusing. You'll need to step aside." Rachel's eyes flicked toward Marissa, who now leaned against the counter, smirking openly. "This isn't about rules," Marissa said under her breath, loud enough for Rachel to hear. "It's about teaching people like you to know their place." That single phrase, loaded with condescension and hostility, ignited a mix of disbelief and anger in Rachel. For decades, she had faced high-pressure situations where the stakes were life and death. Yet here she was being punished not for incompetence or danger, but for existing in a space Marissa deemed unworthy. As Rachel took a measured step back, a passenger approached, an older man in a business suit. "I don't understand," he said quietly, voice filled with disbelief. "She's been nothing but compliant. She's a veteran. Why are you doing this?" Marissa glanced at him sharply, her lips curling. "Mind your business. Rules are rules." Her tone wasn't defensive. It was predatory, as if she were daring anyone to challenge her. Rachel's frustration mounted, but she kept her composure. She reached into her bag, producing her documentation again, this time holding it visibly for the surrounding passengers. "Please, I've flown multiple times with this device. This is approved. There is no danger to anyone on this flight." Marissa leaned closer, her voice dripping with disdain. "Do you think your credentials make you untouchable? I don't care who you are. I make the decisions here. Step aside before this gets messy." A subtle shift rippled through the terminal. Other passengers whispered, some frowning openly. Phones captured the encounter. There was tension in the air, thick enough to touch. But Marissa's confidence didn't waver. Her authority was bolstered by her uniform, her youth, and the misplaced power she wielded over someone decades her senior. Rachel realized that arguing facts alone would not sway Marissa. This was no longer about policy. It was about prejudice cloaked as regulation. And with that recognition, she made a choice. She would not retreat silently. She would take the humiliation she faced and turn it into leverage. As officers began the formal process of escorting her from the boarding area, Rachel paused, her voice calm but commanding. "Document this," she said, gesturing toward the growing crowd of passengers. "Everything you are doing right now is recorded. I will be filing a complaint." Marissa's eyes narrowed, her confidence faltering for a fraction of a second, but only a fraction. Then she straightened, raising her chin as if daring Rachel to defy her. "Do whatever you want," she said, voice sharp, sarcastic. "It won't change anything today." The ride toward the exit was slow, deliberate, as if designed to emphasize Rachel's vulnerability. Passengers looked on, some sympathetic, some stunned, some unsure how to react. The camera lenses of smartphones hummed silently, a digital witness to an injustice that seemed both absurd and unforgivable. Outside the plane, the reality of what had just occurred settled in. Rachel, once in control of military operations and emergency situations, now had to navigate a battlefield of bureaucracy, prejudice, and public humiliation. The oxygen concentrator at her side was a symbol of survival, but in Marissa's eyes, it had become an excuse to assert dominance over someone she clearly underestimated. In that moment, it was clear. This incident would not end quietly. The tension was no longer confined to the terminal. It had moved into the public sphere, into social media, and into the legal realm. Every insult Marissa had thrown, every smirk and dismissive comment was fueling something far larger than either woman could have anticipated. Rachel's gaze met the camera of a bystander, steady and resolute. She knew the fight had just begun, and in that determination lay the first hint of the reckoning to come. By the time Rachel Hayes returned home that evening, the encounter at the airport had already begun its life of its own. Social media was alive with scattered videos from passengers, clipped angles of Marissa Collins sneering, of Rachel being escorted by security, of the murmurs of disbelief from those around them. The footage wasn't polished, it wasn't even complete, but the story it told was unmistakable. Rachel, a woman who had spent decades commanding respect in high-pressure military operations, now faced a different battlefield: public perception and systemic injustice. She had never sought the spotlight, but the humiliation she endured left her no choice. Within hours, friends and former colleagues began messaging, urging her to file a formal complaint. "You can't let this go," one wrote. "This isn't just about you, it's about everyone who's ever been belittled or judged for something beyond their control." The following morning, Rachel sat at her kitchen table, the oxygen concentrator quietly humming beside her. She opened her laptop and drafted a complaint to Skybridge Airlines, detailing the incident with meticulous precision, every word a testament to her calm professionalism, every sentence countering Marissa's lies and arrogance. She attached photos of her medical certification, screenshots of flight policies, and a copy of her military ID, proof of her service. Meanwhile, inside the airline, the video had already made its rounds among staff. Marissa Collins walked through the terminal the next day, head held high, convinced that she had done nothing wrong. To her, enforcing rules justified every insult, every dismissive gesture. But whispers followed her. Passengers who had witnessed the incident called in, recounting the humiliating treatment they had seen. And the story began to spread beyond the airport. Local news outlets picked up the clip, framing it as another example of a veteran being mistreated in civilian life. Public outrage grew quickly. Headlines questioned the airline's training and policies. Veteran removed from flight over medical device. Airline under fire. Passenger with oxygen device harassed by attendant. How safe is safe? Skybridge Airlines faces backlash for humiliating retired colonel. Comment sections filled with personal stories, empathy, and, increasingly, anger aimed squarely at Marissa Collins. For Rachel, this was a strange paradox. She had spent a lifetime in command, making split-second decisions with consequences that could cost lives. Now she was on the receiving end of an injustice, powerless in the moment, yet she could see the tide of accountability beginning to form. Her attorney, a sharp-minded civil rights lawyer named Jordan Patel, reviewed the footage and documents Rachel had collected. "This isn't just a complaint," he said, leaning back in his chair. "This is actionable. You have a case for discrimination and harassment. She humiliated you publicly. She crossed a line that airlines are legally bound not to cross." As preparations for a formal lawsuit began, Marissa Collins' attitude remained unrepentant. In interviews with colleagues, she claimed she was following protocol and protecting passengers. But the viral video told a very different story. Every smirk, every dismissive wave of the hand, every condescending phrase contradicted her words. In the coming weeks, the airline faced mounting pressure. Customer complaints flooded in. Veteran organizations demanded accountability. Legal experts weighed in publicly, dissecting how Marissa's behavior violated both airline policy and federal anti-discrimination laws. Skybridge Airlines, initially silent, released a carefully worded statement claiming an internal review while trying to downplay the incident. Behind the scenes, Rachel and Jordan meticulously built their case. Every detail mattered: the smirk, the dismissive tone, the exact phrasing of Marissa's insults. They documented the public reaction, highlighting how Marissa's actions were not only a violation of policy, but also a clear act of racial prejudice. And then, quietly but unmistakably, the first cracks began to show. Internal emails leaked to the legal team, revealing that other staff members had privately expressed concern over Marissa's aggressive and unnecessary behavior. Reports of prior confrontations with passengers, dismissed by management at the time, now became critical evidence. Rachel began to feel the shift. What had seemed like a humiliating, isolating ordeal was turning into a reckoning. Marissa's arrogance, once seemingly unshakable, was now exposed to scrutiny she could not control, and the world was watching. As the legal process gained momentum, Rachel realized something important. This wasn't just about her oxygen concentrator. This was about respect, dignity, and the accountability that comes when someone abuses authority. And for every person who had ever been silenced, dismissed, or humiliated, this case was about to send a message. The courtroom was tense, the air heavy with anticipation. Rachel Hayes sat upright, oxygen concentrator quietly humming at her side, her presence commanding without a word. After weeks of media attention, internal investigations, and mounting public outrage, the moment of reckoning had arrived. Marissa Collins, the young airline attendant whose arrogance had sparked a viral storm, entered the room with a forced confidence that betrayed her nerves. From the opening statements, it was clear which side carried both moral and evidentiary weight. Jordan Patel, Rachel's attorney, laid out the story with precision. The humiliating removal, the condescending insults, the blatant disregard for both policy and basic human dignity. He presented passenger testimonials, video footage, and internal airline communications that documented Marissa's history of hostility toward passengers, particularly those she deemed difficult. Marissa's defense was weak. She leaned on procedural arguments and the vague notion of protocol enforcement, but the evidence told a very different story. Every sneer, every sarcastic remark, every dismissive wave was captured on video, and it spoke volumes about bias, not safety. The turning point came when a former colleague of Marissa took the stand. Voice steady, she recounted a history of confrontational behavior, highlighting instances where Marissa had belittled passengers over trivial issues. The testimony painted a picture of someone whose personal prejudices repeatedly influenced professional conduct, and it directly contradicted Marissa's claims of impartiality. Rachel sat quietly, listening to each detail, but inside, a quiet satisfaction stirred. The humiliation she had endured at the airport, the sneers, the whispers, the unjust removal, was now the foundation for accountability. For the first time, she felt the power shift from the perpetrator to the victim, from abuse to justice. By the time closing arguments were made, the atmosphere had shifted. The courtroom wasn't just assessing airline liability, it was witnessing a reckoning for a young woman who had weaponized authority against someone she underestimated. Jordan Patel's words were calm but devastating. This isn't merely a question of rules. It's about respect, fairness, and the right of every human being, regardless of age, race, or medical condition, to be treated with dignity. The verdict, when it came, was decisive. The judge ruled in Rachel's favor. Skybridge Airlines was ordered to pay a $350,000 settlement for discrimination, harassment, and emotional distress. The compensation acknowledged not just the inconvenience of removal, but the deep personal indignity inflicted by Marissa Collins' actions. But the consequences didn't stop there. Internally, the airline conducted a full review of Marissa's conduct. The outcome was swift. She was terminated, her employment ended, and her reputation permanently tarnished. Public statements emphasized the airline's commitment to accountability, noting that such behavior has no place in any professional environment, particularly when it harms those who have served our country. Marissa's once unshakable confidence had crumbled. In interviews following the lawsuit, her excuses rang hollow. The public, who had watched the incident unfold in real time via viral videos, now saw a stark reminder. Prejudice and abuse of power are never without consequences. For Rachel, the victory was bittersweet. She did not relish seeing a young woman lose her job, but she understood the broader impact, a clear message to airlines, attendants, and the public that discrimination would not be tolerated. More than the monetary settlement, it was the acknowledgement of her dignity, her service, and her right to live without humiliation that mattered most. In the weeks that followed, Rachel received messages from veterans, medical device users, and ordinary passengers who had witnessed the incident online. "Thank you for standing up," one wrote. "You made sure no one else suffers in silence." Another commented, "This proves that justice isn't just about money, it's about respect." And Rachel, who had spent decades in service to her country, found a new purpose: advocacy. She worked with organizations to ensure airlines trained staff properly, that passengers with medical needs were protected, and that incidents like hers were less likely to happen. The oxygen concentrator at her side, once a symbol of vulnerability, had become a symbol of resilience, dignity, and victory over prejudice. The story of that flight from Atlanta to Dallas became more than a viral clip. It became a lesson about courage in the face of humiliation, about standing firm when the world tries to belittle you, and about the certainty that accountability, though slow, eventually arrives. If you believe that standing up for what's right can change everything, share this story and let others know that justice can prevail.
Integrity is a lifelong quest, and education remains your strongest asset. Thank you for tuning in and promoting institutional transparency.